Howdy everyone, this is Greg with the Survival Project channel, and today we're going to go over my personal carry weapon. This is the Rock Island Armory 1911 compact model. This is a clone of the Colt Officer model. It has a 3.5-inch barrel and it's chambered for the .45 ACP. We'll go ahead and do the safety check. Nothing, I don't have a magazine in it. We're nice and safe here. As you can see, this weapon is actually bone stock. I have done absolutely nothing to it. It still has the same grips on it and everything. Basically, it is an exact clone of the Colt Officer as it was when they first came out. And you can see that this weapon has no frills to it. The only thing they really did extra was it does have a skeletonized hammer and a nice beaver tail. But other than that, it's there's no stippling, there's no extras involved here. This is a very affordable weapon. They run $420, $450. You're not going to find many compact .45 at that price point that are any good anyways. Now, some people don't really like these models so much because there isn't any extras on there. As you can see, one of the biggest complaints is the sights. These are regular government sights. Let's see if you can see that. There you go. You know, just black on black, notch in the back, blade in the front. A lot of people think that they need to have a big glow-in-the-dark night sight for their carry weapon. I personally don't think that that's necessary. Now, I'm not a weapons expert, okay? But I do realize that if you're in a gunfight, you're going to have adrenaline pumping out your ears. You're not going to line up your sights. You're not going to control your breath. You're going to point the gun at your target and you're going to just start laying down rounds. So these big glow-in-the-dark sights don't make too much sense to me on a carry weapon. Now, if you don't believe me, just go out and run yourself a quarter mile as fast as you possibly can. Get your heart rate up. Pull out your weapon of choice, point at your target, and take off 3 shots in less than 3 seconds. And then you tell me, did you take the time to line up your sights? Did you see your sights? Did you hold your breath? Did you do everything you were supposed to do to get that accurate shot off? Probably not. You were trying to get the shots done quickly, and your heart was pounding out of your chest. You pulled your weapon, and you fired. Now, with that said, you still can get great accuracy out of this weapon. These sights are not bad. You know, it just takes a second to line them up, that's all. You know, you can do one ragged hole at 10 yards with this thing. It's not that hard, and it's a very accurate weapon. I really like this weapon. Now, with all that said, I have had a problem with this particular weapon. When I first bought it, I took it to the range. I got me a box of 50 rounds of the range ammo, and about every other shot would be a failure to chamber, so it would jam up on me. I had to clear the weapon. Now, I finished those 50 rounds basically, like I said, every other shot jamming up on me. So I went home, I cleaned it up a bit, took it back to the range. I took some 185 grain plus P ammunition with me, and I ran it through it, and it ran a little better. It still jammed up about 1 or 2 rounds of magazine. It's really getting on my nerves. I'm going to keep running it. I think it just needs a break-in period. You know, the tolerances are tight. It's a small weapon. I'm going to give it, a few hundred more rounds before I give up on it. But for right now, it's the only weapon I have that's easy to conceal, so I take it with me everywhere I go. Obviously, I wish it was 100%, but I'm going to give it some time. I'm going to work on it and see what happens. I really like the 1911 platform. If you didn't see my earlier video, the biggest reason why I like the platform itself is because of the single action trigger. Once it's cocked, there isn't a lot of trigger travel. You just barely pull it and it goes off, which means to me I have better accuracy with it. Now, I know people love their Glocks and love their Smith & Wessons and everything else, and that's great. I'm a big Glock fan myself. I just personally prefer the 1911 series, a lot of folks say, you know, it's too heavy for carry. This is a heavy weapon. This is probably 2 pounds unloaded. It's not light. But for me, I actually like that. With a proper holster, it's not a problem. It's very comfortable. I don't find it weighing me down. With a 45 ACP, I prefer to have a little more weight in my weapon to help control the recoil. I think having a big meaty weapon on me makes me feel more comfortable. Now with that said, I also carried a nice little pocket 380 for a long time, so I understand the reasons behind carrying a nice light weapon, don't get me wrong. Some days I don't feel like strapping up with this thing, but I think the pros outweigh the cons. So it's going to be my weapon of choice. Now, because of my problems I've had with this weapon, I cannot give you a full recommendation on it yet. I'm going to have to say that for right now, give me a few hundred more rounds to make sure I get this thing running the way I want it to run. And if I can't get it to run, I'm going to give it up. I will look for another weapon similar to this in size and weight, probably a Kimber or something like that. But I've heard other, you know, compact 45 1911s have problems too. So I'm going to try. I'm gonna keep working with it. I really like it. I like the looks of it. It's plain, it's simple. It's not going to break my heart if I drop it or scratch it up a little bit. So for right now, I'm definitely it's going with me wherever I go, and I'm going to keep you guys updated as to whether or not I get this going and running 100%. So stay tuned, and I'll let everybody know. Thanks for watching, and guys, please, I've got a website up. It's called survivalguideblog.com. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm going to write a survival guide. I'm no expert, but I'm going to do everything I can to become one, and I'm going to document the process. I've got a lot of stuff lined up I think a lot of you would be interested in. I'm going to cover everything from foraging in the forest for wild edibles to weapons training to urban survival, wilderness survival, everything you can think of. And I'm going to throw it all together in a nice, easy to read handbook for everyone. I think it'll be very interesting to watch the process of me learning, and I hope you do too. So please come on over, check that out. That's survivalguideblog.com. And I will be making more movies, and watch out for this one because I'm going to let you guys know. I plan on running this a lot here real soon, and I'm going to find out whether or not this is reliable. And if it is, I'll give you a thumbs up. And if it isn't, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you, no, this is not reliable. So let me work with it. I'll get back to you. Thanks again for watching.